WSSU Ram Nation, we need a men's basketball coach. And I'm here to tell you why Paul Davis should be the next head coach of Winston-Salem State University men's basketball. What's going on, everybody? This is SJG. Welcome to WSSU Ram Nation. This is a platform focused on Winston-Salem State University, athletics, academics, alumni, students, all of that. Just a place and space to talk about things that concern WSSU. And so I appreciate everybody who has already become a part of the community by hitting that subscribe button. If you haven't, please do so. Also turn on those notifications as well. And give us a thumbs up on this video so that it gets up on the algorithm so folks get a chance to know about it. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about Paul Davis. So, WSSU men's basketball is looking for a new head coach. Cleo Hill went over to Maryland Eastern Shore. We had a nice send-off for him. It was really nice, really touching. Wish more people could have come, but it was supposed to be a surprise. So I was happy to be there. It was a great experience. Great look back at some of the things that Cleo Hill was able to do with WSSU and the high bar that he left, where he left the place. And so there are several folks who the names are in contention for the job, at least publicly, that are out there. And Paul Davis is one of them. He's actually one of the first names that I thought about when the job opening came up. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on him and why I think he would be a great choice for them. This is not an endorsement. I'm going to do these for some other candidates as well, and we'll see what happens. But Paul Davis, he is currently the head coach at Bluefield State University on the women's side. Yeah, Bluefield State is the team that knocked out the men. But their women's program did well this year too. If you look at Paul Davis, this is his first head coaching job. He took over in fall of 2021, and when I say fall, I mean October. And you know basketball season starts in November, right? Yeah. So, challenging situation to be put in. They won 5 games his first year. They won 12 games his next year. And last year they won 15 games, including a win in the CIAA tournament, the first ever in school history. Now, those win totals are nice. They're impressive. But they only tell half the story, because Bluefield State University, again, before this year, they weren't in a conference. So what happens when you're not in a conference? Well, you don't get a chance to compete for championships, and your players, they don't even get a chance to be named all conference, right? So it's a huge recruiting disadvantage. We're not even going to add in the fact that he's at Bluefield State, which is in Bluefield, West Virginia. It's not really on the beaten path, and it's not necessarily cheap to get there, and it's D2, so there are a lot of disadvantages being there that won't be the same situations at WSSU, and he was able to do that. But even before he got there, he's had extensive coaching experience. He was an assistant at Livingstone College for a couple of years on the women's side, and then also he was at Queens University, and we'll talk a little bit more about what happened at Queens, because that's something that we really need to focus on. And he also did a year as an assistant for Coach James Wilhelmy with the basketball program over at WSSU. So he's got diverse experience, and he's able to understand different program needs. So under his leadership at Bluefield State, he developed players who set school records and really set them up for success. And obviously this year, with him getting with whoever gets the job, at this point, we're in mid-June already, and we're less than 6 months away from the start of the basketball season. And so, there's probably going to be some bringing in of new talent, but there's also going to have to be some development of guys that are there, and he's proven that he knows how to do that. So we'll go beyond that. We talked about his coaching experience, which also includes the player development and his leadership. He is about his academics. He took care of business when he was in the classroom at WSSU, which is huge. So, when he preaches that's for real. He also went ahead and got his master's degree from Western Carolina. So he after he went on to his pro career, which he had an extensive pro career overseas, he went back and got his master's. And so he's positioning himself to where he can talk to recruits about education, and, it's there, not only 1 degree, but 2 degrees. Which is above and beyond for being a basketball coach. So very important as well. And then let's talk about that experience at Queens College, because I think that's very important. So I'm sorry, Queens University. So Queens University, Davis was an assistant that helped them to a regular season championship in the conference, a Southeastern Region championship, and an Elite Eight appearance in the D2 basketball championship tournament. Now, A.D. Thomas talked about in the recent Horns meeting, she talked about how, WSSU, we were a Division II school, we embraced that, but we want to be at the highest levels of Division II, compete at the highest levels. WSSU has a national championship already. It'd be great to add another banner up there. I know a lot of people get satisfied with winning the CIAA. I know Coach Hill was not, and I know that, again, from that success, Paul Davis, he's been there before. He knows what it looks like to get there. And so, obviously, that's going to be very big. And then, again, just winning a CIAA tournament game at Bluefield State in his first year in the conference with the history that CIAA women's basketball has is pretty spectacular. So we've got all that. Now let's get to the obvious. Paul Davis, he believes this right here. This WSSU. For those who don't know, Paul Davis came, he played under Bobby Collins in his first couple of years before they went back to Division II. So he was recruited as a Division I player, right? And he played against, he's part of that lost generation. And I'm definitely going to make a video on that, of WSSU football and basketball stars who could not be recognized as all conference, and they couldn't win conference championships. So he gets penalized a lot for that. And a lot of folks that, came after and they got the chance to, be winning in the CIAA, it's a little bit different. But Paul Davis was recruited to be a Division I basketball player, and he was very good. He, Brian Fisher, Jamal Durham, there was a number of those guys, Daryl Wange, who really put in a lot of work for WSSU. Again, these guys, no disrespect to anybody who's played in the CIAA, but they were competing at a different level of competition. Not only Division I in the MEAC, but you also look at Oregon, Georgia Tech, Kansas State with Michael Beasley and them. If you haven't seen the film, don't go looking for it. It's Anyway, it was tough for those guys, but he believes this, and so his last year, WSSU transitioned back to Division II. He had the chance to go to some D1 conference, some D1 schools were really interested in him, but he stuck with WSSU, and he was rewarded by winning CIAA Defensive Player of the Year. They played, a really great season and were very competitive, and so, he believes this WSSU, and I know, even though he's been at other steps, including in D2 and in the CIAA, I know he's always had his eye on Winston-Salem State University. And so, you wouldn't have to explain that transition. Also, when we look at right now what we're going through with the transfer portal, the last couple of years, Coach Hill was able to to recruit some really talented ball players, guys like Teal, Parson, Casey Shaw, who